Okay, so let's get started with the fellowships. And here, first of all, the fellowship program of the IHFC is a part of the so-called HeatFlowX program. And the idea behind the program is to foster collaboration among heat flow scientists and among geoscientists, and to create, let's say, a program with the fellowship to improve global geothermal data. Yeah. Either for fundamental research purpose or for geodynamic or geoenergy purposes. And one of our first goal as International Heat Flow Commission obviously is to provide a quality controlled global heat flow database. So this is, let's say, our main asset we are working with. And this database, basically, we are maintaining and leading since 1963. And currently, there's a collaborative quality controlling process to, let's say, generate a quality controlled, improved open access database also in the future. We have a lot of purposes for that, you might know. Just some pictures to remind you. I mean, heat flow is a fundamental parameter. It connects status variables of temperature and geology, rock properties together, and has certainly impact for geoenergy applications to properly describe subsurface geosystems. But also, if we think about more in marine aspects, it can help to describe hydrothermal aspects. It's important for understanding Earth evolution and for any kind of subsurface geoenergy use, which is relevant to temperature. So there's a lot of interest in this parameter also over the past years, and we try to acknowledge this by creating the fellowships. And these fellowships basically are travel grants, okay? So we fund people, PhD students, postdoctoral students, senior researchers, professionals from industry also. So all kind of people who have at least some experience with heat flow to travel through the world, to connect with other groups and to perform research on heat flow related topics. So this is the basic idea behind the fellowships. And our mission at the moment is that we said, okay, in the beginning, we defined these fellowships mainly to assess and extend the global heat flow database. So as you know, the database is really a large compilation of data from, at the meantime, more than 1,900 publications. And each database is just as valuable as the data are quality controlled in these kind of databases. So to ensure this, we said, okay, the fellowships should be granted for the benefit of the global heat flow database. The overall goal, but will be also that we generally want to improve collaboration. We want to get you together with each other to learn from each other and let's say to reconnect the community, which was sleeping a bit, looking into the first decades of this century, I think. Yeah. So really fostering community collaborative network is one of the big goals. And we are doing this with a framework of so-called host institutions. What does it mean? There had been initially 7 institutes that collaborated together to act as hosting institutions for potential candidates of fellowships that are here, the Rivest, the CICESE in Mexico, Ensenada, that's Sorbonne University in Paris, it's GFZ in Potsdam, then the University of Genoa in Italy, Nanjing University in China, and University of Melbourne in Australia. And you can see the names here of Jeffrey Port, Rachel Negrete Aranda, Massimo Bedoya, Green Birdsmore, Wen Liu, Ben Norn, and Florian Neumann, who, let's say, act as hosts for potential interested candidates. And as a potential candidate, you can select from these institutes and select a period to, let's say, get a fellowship at this particular institute. The idea to distribute this is really to get people from everywhere to everywhere, from different backgrounds, different continents, and with also different let's say, folky. Yeah? In particular, in Paris and Nanjing and Cizé, there is a focus on marine heat flow aspects. I think in Genoa, Melbourne, Potsdam, it's more the focus on the continental marine aspects, and this is what we can reflect and cover here. The program is running since 2022. And in the meantime, we had 14 fellows granted, which came basically from all kind of this or parts of the world, moving around and finding the proper and fitting fellow host institution for their purpose. At the moment, or in this round, we have 3 fellows granted, which is Said Motash from Egypt and Fang Xi from China, but she will start a bit later this year. And all of these fellows you can basically contact and also ask about their opinion. Usually the fellows stay for periods between 3 and 6 months. And there was quite some interest. So we had 5 rounds so far of applications, received 40 applications, alone 10 in the last round in September 2024. And the next round and the next deadline, the 6th round, is coming up in a week, roughly. And the focus of the fellowships in 2025 is still on the assessment of the global heat flow database. So this is the main task we have at the moment. When we achieve, let's say, a status that the assessment of the global heat flow database is, let's say, beyond the 90%, then we will also open up a bit the fellowships towards more general heat flow related topics. But at least for the coming year, the focus on the reassessment is really in place. So what does the grant actually cover? First of all, the travel itself from your home to the destination and return, of course. The housing itself, for the research visits between 3 and 6 months, our experience is that a minimum of 3 months actually is required, that you have the chance to adopt to the local conditions, that you have chance really to dig into the topic and to learn what is required for the assessment, for example. And then some daily allowances, usually with a maximum of 200 euros per month. And there's also some additional limited special support we can offer. The travel and the housing is usually booked directly by the organizers. So you need to take care about that you know when to travel and where to be located. But the booking and the contracts is done directly by us, which makes reimbursement here obsolete. The support of daily allowances happens during the fellowship or to the end of the fellowship. And obviously, let's say the cost we can reimburse, this is kept depending bit by the country of selecting hosting institutes, as each of the countries requires a bit different amounts of money. The initial idea of the fellowships is really that we can spend as much money as on many fellows as possible, because we want really to enable as many people as possible to let's say, to learn from other colleagues, right? What the fellowships do not directly cover is the local travel here, visa fees or insurance fees. The basic assumption is that everyone who applies for fellowships already has, let's say, a local institute at which he or she or there is working. So the fellowships are travel grants and no contracts for work or things like that. What are eligibility criteria? Yeah, first of all, applicants must be experienced in heat flow related projects. So it does not mean that you need to have years of experience, but you should be at home in the topic at least with a basic understanding. Second, you need to be a PhD student, a postdoc, or a senior scientist. But you could be also from the industry if this is, let's say, gives some proper impact for the main goal of the assessment of the database. Our selection criteria is basically that we are looking on your achievement, and then that we are looking on your proposal, and that we think about what is the impact on the quality of the global heat flow database. So this is the main aim at the moment. How does this work in total? Basically, you're writing an application. There's a review phase, and after latest 6 weeks, we give a decision. Applications can be done twice a year, 1st of March, 1st of September. And when we come to a conclusion in terms of the decision, there was a preparation phase, which is usually not less than 6 months. And then afterwards, there will the fellowship start. The preparation phase can be also longer. So right now we have preparation phases of 2, 3, or 4 months because it was a later period in the year was selected for the fellowships. We are totally fine with that. It depends a bit then up on your personal ideas. Okay, in terms of the application, what do we expect? We want to have a short 1-page proposal because we want that you think about what could be the benefit of your work, what is the data set you want to work on, what are, let's say, open points yet. We would like to have connected this with a motivation letter to understand how, let's say, this fellowship fits with your current position and situation and your idea of development. Of course, a very short CV is beneficial and required. And also, if you would like to give us a list of your publications, heat flow contributions, it helps us to understand. Reference letters are not necessary, but required for PhD students only. PhD students, not PhDs, simply as we probably not always know PhD students that just started in the field of heat flow. Yeah. There are a lot of pictures of fellows you can see. So basically what a fellow is doing is having a lot of fun and doing a lot of work, right? And learning a lot of things. That is at least our hope. Each of these fellowships is then also concluded with a certificate of the fellowships you might use for your personal purposes later on. So what are fellows doing at the moment? At the moment, fellows are doing the following thing. We just convert this into that, right? We are making heat flow data from let's say, the past available for a digital research infrastructure on heat flow data of the future, and we are quality controlling the data. I mean, as you can imagine, data from the past 60, 70 years, they have been studied under different circumstances with different methods, changing style of scientific work. All these aspects, the digitization started then a couple of decades ago, and this always changed how data and science is reported. And right now we standardize those data according to a new data structure, a new quality scheme. That is what we are doing. And those things has been publicly documented, that has been developed by the community. And this is what we also try to educate during the current fellowships, that you are familiar with these kind of data requirements, metadata standards, and so on and so forth. What we basically are doing is transforming the 90 years of heat flow research into, let's say, modern heat flow infrastructure. And here, also as an incentive for the fellows who is working on these topics, is not only part of the fellowship community, but also gains the benefit of being part of the author team of the next global heat flow data releases. And those releases are commonly cited quite often. For the 2021, we have almost 60 citations, which is not too bad for a data release itself. What is the progress we achieved in our fellowship program in the database? Just to give you also an impression about the status after 3 years of work. We have an overall quality control of 64% achieved. On the upper right, you see a bit color-coded for the different years, that the total number of heat flow data is really increasing. So when we started, let's say 2019 with the overall process, we started with close to 60,000 data points. In 2024, we achieved 91,000 data points, and I think in this year we will break through the 100K. Because when you start really to read into old literature, you find more and more than you are actually aware of. We have completed most of the continents here, as you can see. So there is only one left, which is basically North America, and some oceanic measurements. And this is really the goal for 2025 and early 26, that we focus on these data sets. And this would be also work of the upcoming fellows next year. So who's supporting the whole thing, and how are the fellowships funded? As you know, the International Heat Flow Commission is a voluntary commission, a scientific voluntary commission of the IASPI, so of the IUGG, which means there is no own budget from the IHFC, but we raised funding through different third-party projects like the World Heat Flow Database project, and we got funded by, for example, the German Research Foundation, DFG, Project Inner Space, AVAC Technology, and we are also partnering with the International Geothermal Association. So those are the main supporters, let's say, of the fellowship program itself. Beside of that, the hosting institutions I've listed here as a logo at the bottom also provide support in terms of in-kind contributions for the scientists that act as host and in some extent as a teacher for potential fellows. So that's in a very, very short. So I hope that you have a lot of questions. If you have questions, ask now. If you want to ask later, then use this email address in the best, give us a call. The administrative contact for the whole fellowship program, which deals with all the organizational administrative issues, is Julie Friedel at GFZ, which can be reached by this email address. And then I hope I was able to give you some insights in the program to interest you in what we are doing. And I would be happy to answer your question. Thank you very much.